Hi there, I'm the Mythkeeper. Welcome back to my channel, the best place on the internet for Pathfinder lore and history. If you like this kind of content, be sure to like and subscribe. And if there's anything you'd like to know, let me know in the comments below as I read all the comments. This week, we're doing another region deep dive, and we're venturing beyond the Inner Sea and beyond Tianxia. We're going to Casmaron. There is another country there that is reasonably well documented in the source material. I am talking about the horse lords of the Great Grass Sea and their capital city of Ular Kel, which was one of the places that got examined in the Distant Shores sourcebook for first edition. And I actually touched on this nation recently in my Schools and Universities guide because one of the big Casman arcane schools is located here in Ular Kel. I am slowly rounding out my coverage of some of the regions that have been detailed in the Pathfinder source material that don't exist in the Inner Sea, and I thought this would be a fun one to touch on. Hope you all enjoy.
The Grass Sea and the Horse Lords of Karazh. Sprawling across the central eastern stretch of Casmaron, the Grass Sea of Karazh is a realm where the horizon stretches unbroken and the sky feels close enough to touch. Vast steppes of golden grass ripple like an endless ocean under the restless wind, broken only occasionally by stony outcroppings, shallow valleys, or the isolated glimmer of an oasis. In this land, where rivers are rare and forests are scarcer still, survival hinges on constant movement and an intimate bond with the land, and with the horses that make such life possible. The region known today as Karazh takes its name from the Kara, the horse tribes, who have made these steppes their home for untold generations. Yet to the Kara themselves, the concept of the nation of Karazh is not deeply important. They are a tribal people, united only by common enemies, and the idea that they are a nation is a foreign one, pushed upon them by those who sought to define boundaries on a people who recognize none. To the Kara, the Grass Sea belongs to no one and to everyone. The land and the sky are ancient and sovereign in their own right, and all who ride them are simply passing through. Geographically, Karazh is defined by its sheer vastness and its relative emptiness. The Grass Sea stretches from the dry escarpments of Kalesh in the southwest to the foreboding border with xenophobic Khaliday in the northeast. Its northern and western fringes also feed slowly into the marshy lowlands of the Castrovan Sea, and its southern edge give way to the rugged foothills leading towards the Vudran Peninsula. Within this open expanse, landmarks are rare and precious, hidden springs, isolated stone spires, and sacred groves that serve as gathering points for the tribes. The climate is harsh, with blistering summers and winters whose icy winds can flay the flesh from the unprepared. Yet within these extremes, a fragile and tenacious beauty thrives. Wildflowers that bloom in vivid explosions after spring rains, or great herds of antelopes sweeping across the plains. Historically, the Kara have been a force to be reckoned with, though seldom a unified one. Culturally and ethnically, they share a lot with the Tianla people of Shaguang and Hongal in Tianxia. This suggests that at some point there might have been a land bridge between eastern Casmaron and northwestern Tianxia, or perhaps the ice shelf came much lower in some colder earlier period. Regardless, these people have remained distinct for millennia, although some similarities can be seen in their dress and language. Among the Kara, each of the 13 great tribes and the countless smaller clans operate independently under the ruler of a Han, a war leader and protector. Blood ties, oaths, and honor form the backbone of this tribal society, and while alliances may arise, they are often fleeting, giving way to the age-old tradition of intertribal raiding. Only in times of dire external threat have the Kara been known to unite, answering to a single supreme leader called the Hakan, enthroned on the revered horse throne of Ular Kel, their only large and significant city, and therefore also their de facto capital. One of the most significant unifying figures in Kara history was Sogis Taramai, a warrior prophet who rose to prominence during the attempted conquest of Karazh by the Padishah Empire of Kalesh. This occurred in the year 417, when the Padishah Empire commanded the great general Hasham Niar to take the unsettled land of Karazh and create a new satrapy. Leading thousands of soldiers and settlers, the general began systematically pushing north and east into the Grass Sea, founding new towns, and killing any nomads that might pose a threat. Han Sogis Taramai was among the first to understand the extent of the Kalashite threat, rallying the scattered tribes to reveal their true strength to the invaders, their near supernatural bond with their steeds, their unmatched mastery of the steppe, and their ability to strike like a thunderclap and vanish just as quickly. Though Taramai perished in battle, his spirit lives on in the cultural memory of the Kara people, many of whom believe he will one day return to lead his people to a promised land free of winter's hardship. The Kara way of life is inseparable from the horse. From the moment a child can walk, they can learn to ride, and by adolescence most Kara youths are capable of incredible feats of horsemanship. Horses are far more than mounts. They are partners, defenders, and even warriors in their own right. Kara horses, known for their fierce intelligence and loyalty, roam freely among the nomads' camps, guarding their grounds and preparing to fight independently during raids and battles. Outsiders who purchase a Kara-bred horse are often themselves bewildered by the animal's autonomy, unaware that true mastery requires training of both horse and rider in tandem. Material culture among the Kara is defined by mobility. Their homes, gairs of felt and wood, can be collapsed and packed within hours. Wealth is measured not in gold, but in size and quality of one's herd, the fineness of one's tack, and the honor earned in battle. Artistry is evident in the intricate embroidery of their garments, the painstaking craftsmanship of saddles and bridles, and the ornate ironwork of their weapons. Particularly prized are the lichinas, metal face masks molded to match a warrior's visage. These serve to conceal a warrior's emotions and serve both a symbolic and practical role in battle. Spiritual life among the Kara is deeply animistic, with the reverence paid to the spirits of sky, earth, and herd. Ancestors are venerated, and shamans, known as the Buyuchi, play crucial roles in interpreting omens, healing injuries, and guiding tribal rituals. While some Kara have adopted elements of organized religion, encountered through trade or conflict, most maintain their traditional beliefs, viewing the world as a place where spirit and matter intertwine seamlessly. Another unique tradition to have emerged among the Kara people is the philosophy of the Iridian Fold. This unique spiritual practice is neither a true religion nor a monastic martial discipline, to which it is often likened. The Fold is a unique spiritual and philosophical tradition centered on the concept of union, not of politics or peoples, but of souls. This practice is so unique and specific to this region that I will describe it in deeper detail later in the video. Despite their warrior reputation, the Kara are not a people of wanton violence. Hospitality is a sacred obligation among the tribes, and a guest, even an enemy under truce, must be treated with honor and generosity. Yet betrayal is equally met with swift and merciless retaliation, for among the Kara reputation is life. Duels, both on horseback and on foot, serve to resolve disputes, and songs celebrating past heroes and battles are among the most treasured cultural artifacts, passed down orally from generation to generation. Relations with neighboring civilizations have always been complex. To neighboring empires like Kalesh and Vudra, the Kara are at once seen as a threat and a source of wonder, fierce raiders who can be devastating enemies or serve as invaluable mercenaries. Many times foreign powers have attempted to pacify or annex the steppe, only to find themselves unable to hold it against the people who treat the open plain as an extension of their own bodies. The Kara have learned to exploit this reputation, using it to secure tribute, trade, and favorable terms, without ever surrendering their sovereignty. Today, under the leadership of Hakan Ulzan of the Kaskirbai tribe, the Kara experience a rare moment of relative peace and prosperity. Ulzan's rule has brought a measure of unity and strength to the tribes not seen in living memory. Yet beneath the surface old rivalries simmer, and every sharpened blade is a silent acknowledgement that unity among the Kara is but a passing season, destined to give way once again to the eternal cycle of division and reunion. In the heart of the Grass Sea, the Kara endure as they always have, swift as the wind, proud as the eagle, and as stubbornly eternal as the endless grass itself. To those who understand their ways, they are not a relic of the past, but living proof that some forces, like freedom, honor, and the bond between horse and rider, can outlast even the mightiest of empires. The philosophy of the Iridian Fold. As mentioned earlier, a prevailing spiritual practice among the Kara people is the Iridian Fold. This practice dates back to about 1,000 years, and the story of the Fold's origins is as enigmatic as its teachings. In 3789, two strangers emerged from the endless grasses beyond Ular Kel, bound together by a simple iron chain. Their origins unknown, their speech and movements eerily synchronized. These men, known only as the First Teachers, captured the city's imagination by demonstrating martial and magical prowess far beyond ordinary ken. For 3 days they defied every attempt to remove them from the steps of the Trade Palace, and when finally they were granted an audience with the ruling Hakan, they offered not threats, but knowledge, a path to transcendent union. From those the first disciples emerged, notably Mitre the Wise and Loyeru Shieldbreaker. Through them and others like them, the teachings of the Iridian Fold spread throughout the Karazh lands. Though many aspects of the original teachers' identities remain debated, celestial emissaries, wandering archmages, or merely visionaries, the heart of the Fold has remained unchanged for centuries, the belief that two souls can be made into one. At the core of the Iridian Fold is the practice of Xeric, the sacred bond between two partners, traditionally with both partners being of male gender, although that element of the tradition has evolved over time. Regardless, in the eyes of the Fold, true enlightenment can only be achieved when two individuals learn to move, think, and feel as one. Through constant practice, partners strive to dissolve the barriers of ego and selfhood, attaining a state the Fold describes as a shared mind and a shared heart. Martial exercises, meditative rituals, synchronized breathing, and even communal dreaming serve as tools on the path towards this transcendent state. The iconic iron chain linking a Xeric pair is more than a practical training device. It is a symbol of trust and unity. To be bound physically is to accept vulnerability, and to maintain the bond through the trials of daily life and battle is to forge an emotional and spiritual tether stronger than any metal. Though the mantra "Be the Chain" reminds adherents that physical bindings are mere representation, most Xeric maintain their chain at all times, often adorning it with charms and runes meaningful to their shared journey. The Iridian Fold traditionally held that women by nature carry the potential for countless new souls within them, a choir of voices, as they said, that, while sacred in its own right, made them poorly suited for the paired practice of the Xeric union. While some followers still today cling to this older tradition, many others, especially among younger generations, view it as a relic of ancient sexism. This tension has led to the quiet emergence of splinter groups, like the Iridian Choir, which trains female and mixed-gender pairs, and even more unusually, groups of 3 or more bonded individuals, despite the objections of the practice's traditionalist followers. Philosophically, the Fold transcends mere romantic or martial bonds. To truly fold into another is to confront the self in its rawest form, to abandon pride, fear, and the illusion of separateness. It demands absolute honesty, compassion, and courage. Followers teach that enlightenment is found not in dominance or submission, but in perfect balance, two spirits flowing into one river of will. In this, the Fold stands apart from any monastic or religious order, focusing not on the rejection of material needs, but on transcending any need sought in isolation and not shared with a partner. Despite its profound metaphysical aims, the Iridian Fold is not an ascetic tradition. Many Xeric maintain businesses, families, and active roles within Kara society. What distinguishes them is not their vocation, but their partnership, a deep, visible bond. To attack one Xeric is to face both as a seamless, inescapable force, and those few who have tested this principle often find themselves humbled by it. Today, the Iridian Fold exists both as a formal order, with temples and teachers scattered throughout the Great Grass Sea, and as a living philosophy embodied by countless informal pairs. Some treat it as a path to spiritual apotheosis, others as a deeply personal code of loyalty and love. Whatever the motivation, the discipline of the Fold has left a distinct mark on the land's culture, where close partnership, whether in trade, politics, or warfare, are often spoken of in terms borrowed from the Fold terminology. Over the centuries, many myths have grown around the Fold. Some claim that ancient Xeric pairs achieved such perfect union that they could heal each other's wounds, read one another's thoughts, or even merge into a single being of light. Though such tales are generally treated as parables, they speak to the enduring allure of the Fold's central promise, that in a world riven by isolation and strife, it is possible, through love, trust, and relentless effort, to become more than oneself. For those who seek its path, the Iridian Fold offers no simple answers, no easy miracles. Instead, it offers a challenge, to walk beside another soul into the unknown, hand in hand, until the very concept of the self gives way to something greater. In a world of endless horizons and lonely hearts, there are few promises more daring or more beautiful. Ular Kel, the Caravan City. At the center of the vast Grass Sea, like a precious jewel in a barren crown, rises Ular Kel, the Caravan City, the city of thirst, the beating heart of the steppe. For thousands of years it has stood as the sole fixed point amid a sea of ever-moving people, a sanctuary for traders, wanderers, exiles, and opportunists drawn to the endless possibilities that only this crossroads of the world can offer. Ular Kel owes its existence to the clever ambitions of Altan Batir, a Han of a minor Kara tribe who, against all custom, chose to fortify a lone oasis instead of following the herds. Though mocked as the founder of the dead tribe, for only the dead settle in one place, Batir's gamble paid off. He charged tolls for water and grazing rights, built walls to protect the oasis from raiders, and in doing so birthed a settlement that would one day grow into a metropolis, From that first dusty camp, Ular Kel has grown into a city that pumps wealth into the wild steppes like blood from a mighty heart. Although Ular Kel is viewed as the cultural and political capital of the Karazh, the so-called realm of the Kara horse lords, in truth it is not really a Kara city. The Kara do not settle, and it is only the elderly or the eccentrics that put down roots in Ular Kel. The city is actually run by a group called the Water Lords, who are ethnically of Kara stock and descendant from the Han Altan Batir, but who in truth the Kara no longer recognize as their own. Still, tribute to the Kara is a long-standing tradition, a gesture of respect, and an insurance against sudden violence. While the Water Lords invest heavily in magical defenses and elite mercenaries, they know that no wall is high enough to withstand the collective wrath of the tribes if ever truly provoked. So when a Kara Han approaches with his riders, the gates are lowered. They are welcomed as lords of the highest honor in the city, and the hallowed walls of the trade palace are open to them for the duration of their stay. For the rest, the city is a marvel of rugged beauty and harsh pragmatism. Travelers approaching from the plains are first greeted by the imposing red sandstone walls, their blocks the size of cottages, quarried and raised through ancient magic. Massive statues of manticores and lamasuds stand sentinel over the great gates, rumored to animate in times of siege. Beyond them sprawls a chaotic maze of mud-brick buildings and market tents, crisscrossed by an intricate web of aqueducts carrying the lifeblood of the city, water. Ular Kel's layout is defined by trade. Roads stretch out from the city's gates towards every horizon, to the impossible kingdoms of Vudra, to the distant ports of the Castravan Sea, towards the Padishah Empire of Kalesh, and to the secretive lands of Kaladay. At the city's center lies the Crossway, a grand bazaar where goods from 100 nations are hawked in a cacophony of voices, scents, and colors. Commerce bleeds into every corner of Ular Kel, every street corner sprouting with its own miniature market, and barrow runners that thread through the crowds, ferrying goods and messages with desperate speed. Water is power in Ular Kel, and control of it defines the city's politics. Atop the three great cistern fortresses known as the Water Houses, the Water Lords reign supreme, doling out access to the aqueducts in exchange for taxes and loyalty. These ancient dynasties, especially the Inkara and the Nurasili, enforce their will with a combination of patronage, magic, and the implicit threat of cutting off a neighbor's supply. Recently, a third faction, the Concord of Peers, a coalition of powerful merchant families, has broken the Water Lord's monopoly, sowing quiet unrest among the city's ruling class. Life in Ular Kel is a study in contradictions. The city prides itself on cosmopolitanism. Humans, elves, dwarves, Nephilim of various heritages, Nagaji and Suli share the bustling streets. Wealth and poverty walk side by side. A visiting prince might pass a beggar whose ancestors have lived in Ular Kel for generations. Crime, too, is ever present, but strangely regulated. Bribery of city guards is an accepted part of life, and thieves' guilds flourish under unofficial sanction, provided they avoid excessive bloodshed and primarily target travelers. Yet for all its noise and bustle, a precarious tension underlies life in Ular Kel. The city remains perpetually wary of both the foreign empires that covet its riches and the horse tribes whose tempers and alliances can shift with the winds. Architecturally, most structures are of limited height, mud-brick buildings rising 3 or 4 stories and built around central courtyards that bloom with hidden gardens. Wealthier districts boast larger compounds, colorful mosaics, and shaded atriums where water is allowed to trickle into private pools. The aqueducts offer public fountains for the common folk, and secret, luxurious channels feed the Water Lord's own palatial gardens. Beneath Ular Kel lies a labyrinthine network of tunnels known as the Burrows, a remnant of the city's earliest days. In those times, settlers and would-be usurpers sought to bypass the Water Lord's monopoly by digging their own wells. Yet they quickly discovered the futility of their efforts, as the oasis's water sources are not natural, but fed by deep vertical shafts that lie hidden beneath the water houses, far beyond the reach of mortal excavation. Attempts to tunnel laterally towards the Water Lord's cisterns proved just as dangerous. Many such endeavors collapsed mysteriously or ended in catastrophe before ever striking water, whether through sabotage or more enigmatic forces. Over time, the abandoned tunnels became a forgotten underworld, linking basements and ruins both within the city walls and even beyond them. Today, the burrows serve as a shadow city unto themselves. Smugglers, thieves, and less savory creatures make their homes in the darkness, using the passages to move unseen beneath the bustling streets of Ular Kel. Social structure within the city is fluid and mercantile. Wealth, influence, and cunning are prized far more than bloodline, and a clever merchant or a renowned artisan can rise to prominence as swiftly as any noble-born scion. Honorifics are self-assumed, and fortunes rise and fall with the shifting tides of caravan trade. Yet beneath the bustling marketplace lies simmering unrest. Secret societies plot to overthrow the waterlords, and many ordinary citizens sometimes grumble that even their trees drink first, a biting commentary on the lush gardens atop the water houses. In addition, as recently discussed in my faction guide to the arcane colleges and schools of Galarian, Ular Kel has also stood as a beacon for scholars and mystics in the region. Its libraries and shrines attract pilgrims and researchers from across Galarian. Here, unique philosophies like the Iridian Fold found fertile ground to grow, and ancient secrets long forgotten elsewhere survive in private collections. Magic is not merely tolerated but embraced, with the robed council of spellcasters maintaining the city's magical defenses and advising the waterlords on arcane matters. Despite countless attempts over the centuries by foreign powers to claim Ular Kel, the city has endured, thanks to its strategic alliances, its wealth, and the sheer unpredictability of the steppe tribes, who treat any attempt at conquest as a personal affront. In many ways, Ular Kel is less a city than a living thing, constantly shifting, growing, adapting. Its alleyways are arteries of commerce and culture, its gates the beating valves through which the lifeblood of the steppe flows. To its citizens it is both home and proving ground, a place where fortunes are made and lost with every rising sun. And to the caravans that crawl towards its walls across the endless grass, Ular Kel remains a promised land, a place where anything can be bought, anyone can be met, and for those bold or desperate enough, destiny itself can be seized. The districts of Ular Kel. Though the city has no strict wards in the traditional sense, its neighborhoods each possess their own character, shaped by centuries of trade, strife, and settlement. Let's take a look at these districts, moving from north to south and from east to west across the map. Brokewall. Centuries ago, the waterlords of Ular Kel offended the horse lords, and during a disastrous siege, Ular Kel's northern wall was breached, leaving the original wall in ruins. When the waterlords rebuilt, they chose to reroute the new fortifications further south, leaving a growing shanty town outside the city proper. Officially known as Brokewall, and often called Horsetown by locals, the district is a tangle of gairs, wagons, and makeshift shops. Many Kara traders prefer its open skies to the cramped streets within the walls, and its lawless spirit makes it a haven for smugglers and thieves. Travelers seeking unregistered bargains or a hasty exit often find themselves negotiating in Brokewall's dusty alleys. Just to the east of Brokewall lies the Gate of Winds, the northernmost gate of the city, and just a short ride north of the Gate of Winds stands the Trade Palace. Originally constructed by the waterlords as tribute to the Hans of the steppe, the palace serves as a neutral embassy and temporary residence for any tribe wishing to trade within the city walls. Built of plain stone, the palace rises 2 stories high, its halls and chambers left deliberately open to the sky. Each visiting tribe is invited to remake the palace according to its own tastes, transforming the austere foundation into a vibrant explosion of tents, banners, and colorful pavilions. When a tribe departs, it tears down every addition, leaving only the bare stone behind, a never-renewed blank canvas. In this way, no single tribe can claim permanent ownership of the palace, and the traditions of hospitality and impermanence that define Kara culture are maintained even within reach of Ular Kel's walls. Nakan. A bustling district of artisans, small traders, and skilled laborers, Nakan serves as Ular Kel's industrious heart. Its winding streets are lined with smithies, workshops, and colorful market stalls. Yet Nakan is no easy mark for thieves. The district is fiercely protected by the Skin Sisters, a clandestine cabal of lycanthropes who mete out brutal justice to those foolish enough to prey on their neighbors. The Nakan district is also home to the Maw, Ular Kel's most notorious tavern, which is built around a massive pit lined with strange stone and filled with shimmering green mist. Anything dropped into the mist vanishes without a trace, and patrons can pay a silver to toss an item in for luck, or curiosity. The bar's owner, retired adventurer Yima Kerzu, famously offers the deed to the Maw itself to anyone who can descend into the mist and return with proof of what lies beyond. Tok Bolat. By day, Tok Bolat teems with street performers, open-air eateries, and gamblers plying every imaginable game of chance. By night, it transforms into a city of lights and laughter, where revelers crowd into brothels screened with silk, and into the infamous hanging Colosseum, where magical duels are fought before roaring crowds. Nowhere else in Ular Kel is it easier, or quicker, to lose one's fortune or make new enemies. A few institutions stand out here. One is the Tower Korabanik, Ular Kel's most renowned theatre, owned and operated by Libruno Osmet, a celebrated elven bard and aristocrat. This cylindrical marvel has multiple cabarets stacked on top of each other, each floor offering a different experience ranging from high art to decadent revelry. Access to higher levels is restricted by wealth and status, with bouncers guarding the spiral staircases that encircle the tower's exterior. The topmost theatre, the most exclusive of all, is reserved for the city's elite and Lord Osmit's personal guests. Another important point of interest is the Hanging Coliseum, also known as the Arena Dome, Ular Kel's premier arena for martial contests, attracting gladiators from across Casmaron. Unlike traditional coliseums, it features a sand-floored arena completely roofed by a massive dome ringed by stacked balconies, with the most prestigious seats hanging directly over the action. Song Suk, the Kelishite quarter Song Suk hums with the melodies of street musicians and the flutter of messenger birds rising from their ornate roosts. Indeed, the Empire Gate, located here in the Song Suk, is connected to the road that leads all the way to the Padishah capital of Isfahel, if you don't venture off any of its branching paths. Here the architecture mirrors the grandeur of the Padishah Empire, and many houses gleam with imported luxury. Yet beneath its polished surface, Song Suk is a district of spies and whispered intrigue, its residents quietly working to advance the interests of Kelesh within Ular Kel's walls. Among the city's gossips, romantic liaisons with Kelishites are the stuff of scandal and fascination, and an unusual number of undines are said to be born here without explanation. To the south, on the road down to the Karetz district, lies a square featuring the weathered 15-foot stone statue of Altan Batir, the first water lord. Some ancient magic still lingers on the statue. Each summer solstice, those who touch the statue's hand glimpse a glowing red stripe on the ground, visible only to them, winding unpredictably through the city. Legends claim the trail leads to Batir's secret tomb and a treasure, inspiring the holiday of Founder's Folly when children and adventurers race through the streets chasing the fading visions. Karetz. In a city famed for its cosmopolitanism, Karetz is perhaps the most vividly diverse district. Isoki hawkers, Tengu gamblers, centaur mercenaries, and Nagaji scholars jostle for space alongside humans and Suli. Undines, unusually common in Ular Kel, are particularly prevalent here, their origins whispered to be tied to ancient magics woven into the city's wells. Though a chaotic district, Karetz thrives on its own sense of community. The Hall of the Serpent can be found in this district. Once built as a sanctuary for Ular Kel's Nagaji population, the Hall of the Serpent now serves as a city hall for many of the city's non-human residents, offering a place to resolve disputes and advocate for their interests. Whispers persist that beneath the hall lies the many-locked vault, rumored to contain a powerful weapon crafted by the Nagas in case the city would ever turn against them. The Old City. Encircled by the city's original sandstone walls, the Old City remains the domain of Ular Kel's oldest and most prestigious families. While the gates of the Old City remain open most days, the walls are well maintained, and more than once the elite have sealed themselves in to ride out riots, sieges, or plagues, while the rest of Ular Kel suffered. Here the Waterlord's sprawling compounds dominate Ular Kel's skyline, 3 immense stone cylinders that capture and control the city's vital springs, feeding the sprawling network of aqueducts. The 3 water houses, as they are called, cast long shadows over the bustling crossway where caravans unload their riches for the residents of the inner city. Legends claim the towers stand atop the flooded ruins of earlier fortresses, but their true workings remain a tightly guarded secret, known only to the waterlords themselves. Atop each water house rises a magnificent palace, built as a testament to the waterlord's power. Soaring minarets, opulent courtyards, and private gardens, whose trees sink their roots deep into the cisterns below, crown the towers in splendor. Today, the northwest tower is still run and operated by the ancient and powerful Inkara family, while the northeast tower is ruled by the Nurasili family. The southernmost, however, currently belongs to an alliance of powerful merchants calling themselves the Concord of Peers. Though their control of a third of the Water Council hasn't resulted in any significant changes in governance yet, many citizens are hopeful about the group's supposedly egalitarian internal structure. The Gods' Market. Here, shrines and temples to deities from across Galarian crowd shoulder to shoulder, forming a riotous tableau of faith and commerce. Priests, pilgrims, and peddlers alike throng the streets, and the spaces between sacred buildings are filled with coffee houses and smoking parlors where theological debates flow as freely as spiced wine. Alongside the spiritual markets, God's Market is also one of the city's prime hubs for magical trade, rivaled only by the enigmatic palimpsest. Numerous important points of interest can be found here, including the Spirit Wall, the Iridian Cathedral, and the Spire of Azzi. These edifices reflect the diversity of spiritual practice in the Grass Sea. The Spirit Wall is a sacred place for ancestor worship. a curving 50-foot length of translucent and opalescent energy that snakes through a wide courtyard. It evidently arose from a burial pit built to accommodate the dead during the dreadful ghost plague, and though the mass grave has long since been closed, the ghost wall endures, an eerie manifestation that remains tied to the spirit world. Occultists and shamans come here to feel closer to the spirits of the dead. The Iridian Cathedral, meanwhile, is an 80-foot-tall stone construction capped in a blue dome and crowned with a wind catcher. The birthplace and primary training center of the Iridian Fold, the cathedral is largely restricted to members of the sect, though all those who truly seek to understand the philosophy are welcomed. Towering even higher than the water houses, the spire of Azzy is a golden needle visible for miles, built atop the site where the priestess Gurel once saved Ular Kel from a dragon. Its base houses a temple to Sarenrae, an important goddess here. Today the spire is famed for the mystics who ascend its endless steps to the summit, where they deliberately blind themselves by staring at the sun in pursuit of divine visions. Though a controversial practice, those who pay the blinding price often exhibit special prophetic gifts. Munala, this relatively wealthy residential district, extends all the way from the old city to the Gate of Grass, the city's eastern gate. The great halls and sprawling complexes of Munala are dominated by the Muna, communal dwellings where families pool resources to live, work, and trade as one. While most Muna are bastions of mutual aid and cooperation, a darker side lurks beneath the surface. Some have evolved into quasi-legal syndicates and gangs, ruling their corners of Munala with tight-knit loyalty and ruthless efficiency. Even so, familiar bonds run deep here, and most disputes are settled behind closed doors, rather than in the open streets. The Garden District. A rare expanse of green in an otherwise arid city, the Garden District was originally established by a waterlord dynasty eager to curry favor with the common folk. Open farming plots and shaded parks are free to all citizens, and the scent of blossoms often drifts across the surrounding streets. Along the district's edges rise stately inns catering to wealthy merchants. In the heart of the gardens, the manor houses of the Concord of Peers, who also control the southernmost water tower, and therefore hold about a third of the power in the city, preside over the greenery of the Garden District. Sunrise Triangle. Named for the brilliant morning light that bathes its tent bazaars in gold, Sunrise Triangle is the second largest market in Ular Kel. Traders here hawk everything from Chaldean relics and exotic arms to dawn melons and spice-laden street food. As the nearest major market to the Gate of Grass, Sunrise Triangle is the best place to find rare treasures from beyond the Emerald Ocean, where the great port of Goka ships out rare luxuries from Tianxia. Palimpsest. Named for the layers of construction and magic woven into its very foundation, Palimpsest is Ular Kel's district of scholars, sages, and arcane experimenters. The streets here are alive with sensory illusions, scents, sounds, and shifting images competing for attention. While countless magical shops and apothecaries beckon casual visitors, locals know that the most potent wizards and alchemists maintain low profiles, choosing their clients with utmost discretion rather than hawking their talents in the open. Also discussed in my recent Arcane Schools video, the Chirographica can be found here in the Palimpsest. All things come to Ular Kel, and the best of these is knowledge, so proclaims the motto of the Chirographica, said to be one of the greatest centers of learning in all of Casmaron. Part library, part university, and part magical academy, the Chirographica houses scholars and arcanists who gather, hoard, and sometimes jealously guard secrets from every corner of the world. Far from a traditional library, the Chirographica is a sprawling warren of collections, each maintained by different and often feuding factions. Navigating its twisting halls in search of an answer can be an adventure in itself, requiring patience, charm, and a fair bit of luck. Visitors from distant lands are often advised to seek out Betha Cormis, a tenacious Taldan Pathfinder who has spent the last 5 years burrowing into the archive's hidden depths and forging fragile alliances among its scholarly residents. Watersend. At the very edge of the city's bounty lies Watersend, where the aqueducts run dry and hardship is a daily reality. The poorest citizens live here, hauling their water from communal cisterns, and a sense of simmering resentment permeates the district's narrow alleys, though many whisper that the waterlords deliberately maintain Watersend's deprivation to keep the lower classes in check. Many fear to criticize them more openly than this. Yet even here, in this most impoverished district, life persists with the stubborn tenacity that is the lifeblood of Ular Kel.